Well, hey, y'all, welcome to the Oak Grove podcast. This season is all about the wisdom of our folks who've lived a couple more years than I might have. Delighted to welcome Chuck Rogers to the podcast. Welcome on the podcast, Chuck.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, glad to have you with us. This is my 9th year of ministry here at the church, so I'm still new. That's the joke.
I think I met you the first day you were here.
The first day I was here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I remember some of the conversations we've had about photography. Later, I learned that Chuck is a renowned photojournalist who got to photograph tons of amazing things. And so we wanted to have you on to talk some about that, but also about your faith life and about your experience here in the Oak Grove community. And
Let me add that my son says I'm a legend in my own mind.
A legend in your own mind. If only we could all have our kids say that about us. But also, you are kind of legendary. Even some of the photos you share with me or the ones I've seen in some of your videos, just remarkable that you've gotten to do that kind of work. But before we get there into talking about sort of the wisdom you've learned in photography and that devotion to a craft like photography, which takes that stick-to-itiveness, tell us some about how you and V, your wife, came to be a part of the Oak Grove community and how you ended up here in Atlanta.
This was our first year that I showed you. That was 2003, was it?
I think so. Yeah, 2003.
I put it away already.
That's okay.
But we've been here almost 25 years.
Yeah, okay.
And B is dedicated to her Nazarene church.
Sure. A part of our Wesleyan
every
tradition.
Other Sunday, we go to 30 miles away to her Nazarene church.
Wonderful.
So we come here on alternate Sundays.
Gotcha.
And we have fallen in love with Oak Grove Methodist Church and Beth.
Pastor Beth, yeah.
And we love your preaching too.
Oh, thanks. That's very kind.
We really do. And so we've been here a long time. We participated a lot.
Oh, yeah. And again, I know y'all are active in lots of things, and seeing y'all on the Sundays is wonderful and good. And I even snapped a picture of you taking pictures the other day.
I know, but you're supposed to send me an original.
I'll send you the full resolution. Don't worry. I think it's in JPEG. So
I didn't show B yet.
Anytime as photographers, when you're doing this at events or other things, I take pictures every Sunday morning at church. But also, I find Chuck doing it fairly often as well. But one thing you often don't have as a photographer is pictures of you at events or pictures of you taking pictures.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be invisible.
That's right. No one sees you. One of the fun things about it in the work I've done for the conference or taking pictures at events is you try and take a picture of your friends taking pictures. So,
I always photograph you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It helps to have those pictures. Well, I know you got your start in photography pretty young. I've listened to he has a great documentary style explanation of your life in photography that you have on YouTube. Well, I'll link that here in the show notes in case you want to watch
We did that for video. B and I did it for video,
both
for Emory.
Yeah, for Emory. I was going to wonder where it was. And we'll put a link to that in the show notes of this. So if you'd like to learn more about his journey and see some more photos there, we'll have those. Tell us some about how you got into photography in the first place.
You really want to know?
Well, this is the condensed
I was a
version,
lifeguard in my sophomore year in high school.
Okay.
And the other lifeguard was given a camera and brought it out to where we were lifeguarding and started photographing the chicks.
Okay. These are not baby chickens, but the people
were hanging on to him. So I had to have my own camera.
Okay.
That started me in photography, seriously.
Okay. And that's what started it. I know you were artistic and inclined towards the arts in that way, but you started working at 16 as a photographer?
17, I was an artist for a local department store.
Okay.
And I worked for both major department stores in Orlando, across the street from each other, the high-rise department stores.
Wow.
I did the artwork for both of them in different times. And then I found out that photography is quicker
than drawing,
than painting.
Sure. Okay.
So I started doing photography in 1950, the year I graduated from high school. I got a job with the Orlando Sentinel as a cub photographer, apprentice photographer. And that really started my professional career.
Okay.
So I count that as the beginning of my photojournalism career.
Sure.
And I am now over 70 years as a photojournalist.
Wow. That's amazing. And I think there's very few folks around who have had that sort of tenure and experience. And some of the people and events and things you've gotten to take pictures of is just remarkable to me. You moved up to Atlanta in the 60s with one of your friends, Bob, who was also a photographer and began your and began your photography adventures here. But tell us some more about the things you got to do in Florida and some of the Cape Canaveral and other parts of things you got to experience down there.
I think starting in probably before we were married, I moved to West Palm Beach.
Okay.
From Orlando. Gotcha. And got a job, first of all, with the Palm Beach Post as a still photographer. And then I moved to WIRK TV to be their artist, their still photographer, their motion picture photographer.
Wow.
I had all 3 jobs.
Oh, wow.
Because they had a limited budget.
Sure.
But I was with them when they went on the air. That was a great experience.
Sure.
When I left there, they replaced me with 3 people.
That tells you, well, but also you'd shown the proof of concept in many ways for wanting those to be important jobs. Now, was that, what sort of film were y'all working on?
What kind of film?
Yeah.
It was black and white, of course.
Sure.
And it was 16 millimeter.
Okay.
And I even had to process my own 16 millimeter.
Wow.
I had a 16 millimeter camera. Sure. Handheld,
right?
And I would go out, had no sound pickup. It was all silent.
Right.
I did all the slides, the artwork on the slides. They were all artwork slides.
Wow.
No photography slides.
Okay.
It was crazy. She was a bookkeeper.
Okay. Now, how did you and your wife V meet?
V and I were born in Lake Wales, Florida.
Okay.
In me in 31 and her in 32. And our families were going to the same Baptist church.
Oh.
And a Nazarene camp meeting came to Lake Wales, and both our families went there and liked it and became Nazarenes.
Ah, gotcha.
When we were 6 years old.
Okay.
And we've been attending the Nazarene church ever since.
Okay, yeah.
So that's a long time, 80 some years.
That's been a minute. Yeah. Well, that's wonderful. And y'all have an anniversary coming up in October, wedding anniversary.
The Nazarenes, by the way, are Wesleyan oriented.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I should say that for our viewers.
They're split off the Methodist Church.
Yeah, so the Wesleyan family is large, and our Nazarene brethren and siblings are remarkable, faithful, wonderful people. So yeah, that's good. But it is part of our John and Charles Wesley tradition. The Nazarenes, the AME, we have a whole host of Methodist and Wesleyan folks who are a part of our tradition. That's wonderful. So you're down there doing art and doing all those things, and then when y'all talked in your video, that again I'll link it in the show notes here, you talked about how you kept applying to be one of the staff photographers at Cape Canaveral.
I was living in Miami at the time and doing sales, but I took on the leadership of a 20 group of college guys in sales in Miami, and that brought me out of my timidity.
Yeah, if you're going to do sales, you got to be able to get out there.
That's really a great thing. But then I started seeing the information we had TV in Miami in the 50s, in black and white, of course.
Sure.
And we kept seeing stuff happening at Cape Canaveral in the newspaper, stuff happening at Cape Canaveral. So I decided that's what I wanted to do, is photograph missiles and rockets.
Yeah.
So we decided, with B's permission, to move to Melbourne, Florida. I took a job with a camera store until it took over a year, maybe 2 years, to get accepted at Cape Canaveral. Yeah. And I would go out every 30 days.
Oh, and reapply.
and remind them that I'm waiting for an opening.
Okay.
And I finally got it.
Yeah. Well,
and immediately upon getting the job at Cape Canaveral, which I've done a book.
Yeah. And I'll show some of the images.
Do you have a copy of this?
I don't, but this is beautiful. Well, that's very kind of you. So yeah, a lot of the launches of everything, and you were saying you were photographing over 100 different
100 launches a
a
year at one time. Yeah.
Wow. And
I was my first major job at Cape Canaveral was to be the press photographer.
oh wow.
No press and no women were allowed on Cape Canaveral in
Interesting.
1957 when I started work there.
Okay.
So the press have a lot of power, and they demanded something better than they were getting. They were having to photograph a launch from 8 miles away.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty, even with the greatest lens, that's pretty far.
Yeah.
So the Air Force got RCA. My job was with RCA, who answered to the Air Force.
Okay.
And the Air Force demanded that RCA put someone, a still photographer and a motion picture photographer, just to do press release photography.
Okay. Sure.
And my job was to photograph every launch, and our lab was 25 miles away at Patrick Air Force Base.
Oh, wow.
So I rushed the film to Patrick after every launch, even if it happened at midnight.
Midnight. Yeah, I was going to say some of them were pretty late.
Yeah, I had to take the film down there and wait for the prints.
Wow.
And I delivered the prints to the press.
Well, that's pretty remarkable. I think a lot of the folks listening at home, everyone is a photographer now because everyone carries one of these in their pockets. And the joke is that the best camera you have is the one you have with you. But in the days of film photography and a lot of your work, some of your long exposures when the gateway for things was moving away for a 3-minute exposure, some beautiful photography work.
You did see my work.
I have seen your work. I've done my research. But the part that's fascinating about that was you were shooting on for the pre-launch. You said 8x10, so large format, and for the actual launches, you were shooting on 4x5, so sort of medium format. Is that
eventually we did 35 millimeter?
Oh, and then eventually moved to 35. Yeah.
And the way we got 35 millimeter, I bought my own Nikon, and when motor drives came out,
sure.
I bought a motor drive.
Yeah, that advances the film quickly for you so you can take more photos. Explaining
and and I had to get permission. You couldn't bring your personal camera on the case.
Sure.
I had to get official permission to test the motor drive Nikon for a launch.
Okay.
And prove that it was better than what we were using in some cases on the pad, aerial cameras, motorized aerial cameras, that there was no way to see through and focus. I had to have a tech focus my camera. I could set up with a viewfinder, but he had to come in with some kind of gizmo that he made and focus my camera to get motorized events, get sequential photography.
Yeah, and I remember in one of the parts of the interviews, you talked about having a 50-foot tower that y'all could put anywhere you wanted and getting searchlights to be sort of the lighting that you needed on the subject. In our studio setup we have here, we have one key light and a hair light, but we're so close to the source. But to have 24 searchlights out there lighting your subject and coordinating that part of it, and then you said at one point there was 150 photographers, staff photographers, and
150 people in the photo department.
But that's still a huge.
Not all photographers,
but quite an effort when you think about that.
Yeah.
Now we think about it from everyone has a camera. But in those times, especially when you were doing that work with NASA and Cape Canaveral and Von Braun and all these big names in photography work, but also in rocketry and space satellite exploration, all that, you were working in a way where you had to get it right because you can't go back and relaunch that thing. And then that's true from both a motion and stills perspective. In a lot of our conversations about like my work in learning photography, I've never been trained and never had experience. That just meet someone who's good at it and ask them how they do it and get better at it. In our faith lives, this is sort of
you do pretty good.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, that's just part of it. I've learned from a lot of people. The same way is true in our faith life. We learn a lot of things by working with people who've done faith longer than we have. I imagine you have people in your life who taught you things about the Christianity, about the Nazarene tradition. All of these things happen that help us learn more about our faith. pastors we love, people, loved ones. For me, photography has a very similar track that I learned photography from my mom. I borrowed her film camera, took it when I was 14 and just got learning in that. And then now was already doing some photography video things when I came on staff here. And then during the pandemic, we had to film everything. And so we got much better at it. But it takes a certain level of devotion to a craft like photography. You said you were shooting 100 launches. That's 2 a week average. And then having to drive that takes a lot of stick-to-itiveness and planning, but also a lot of discipline. But could you speak to some of like the habit of photography or the ritual of it? Because I know you still take pictures now, and you have a photography club that you meet with. But talk some about how it's sort of a lifelong passion for you. It really is. But how do you keep that going? How do you keep that level of?
I don't know. I just love it, and any opportunities, just take photos. I take photos.
Yeah,
I like seeing them on the screen.
Yeah. Well,
and sharing them. I like to share them with family and friends.
Well, I know you've brought a couple of your cards. I know you got to photograph the Queen on an official royal visit one time, which I don't know anyone who's ever taken pictures of the Queen.
I was with her 5 days.
5 days. My goodness.
And she's a very sweet lady.
Yeah, it's Queen Elizabeth, by the way.
She was.
Yeah, was. Yeah. And that was in what era was that when she was here?
66, I believe.
66.
She was a young lady then.
Yeah, young lady.
Yeah.
And I imagine you were a bit younger, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and what's remarkable about that is you've literally photographed some of history. What about like sharing the photos with other people or seeing their smile when they see themselves? What about that's meaningful, like to share your photography?
Well, some photographers, the payment is if somebody will buy it.
Sure.
That's the measure of approval for some people.
Yeah.
But I don't put that on mine.
Sure.
I just like the personal approval and the reaction that I see when I show them one of my photos and they like it.
Yeah.
That's good enough for me.
In thinking about life and vocations, you want to have competency and skill in something. You want it to be remunerated in some sort of way when you're a professional photographer and photojournalist, and then also be engaging and meaningful. If you can have all three of those things, which it sounds like in your career you've had that, then it really is a sweet spot for someone's vocation or sense of calling. One of your more commercially successful photographers was the run in the Peachtree Road Race, and then Nike picked that up, right?
Yeah.
Say a little something about. I mean, that photo is meaningful, I would imagine, for you. And I can share that image here on the video version of this. So if you're listening to this, go check out the YouTube version of this to see it, if Chuck allows me to do that as the photographer. But say something about that image.
Well, when I shot the image, Monet is my favorite painter. So I saw Monet background in that atmospheric effect.
Sure.
And I knew that if nothing else, that was going to be a nice photo for that. What happened, I was shooting Kodachrome 64.
Oh, yeah.
In an Olympus OM2, about 4 frames a second motor drive. When I saw that atmospheric effect, I turned it on full motor drive, 4 or 5 frames a second, and ran out the roll of film.
Okay.
When I got the film back from Kodak, there's only 1 frame, a quarter of a second before, a quarter of a second after, was ruined by somebody with either a bad hand gesture or something screwed up the photo.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So and for those listening to this, it's a beautiful picture of someone having just finished the Peachtree Road Race, right? And looking exhausted. And it has this, when you said Monet, it has this sort of watercolor ethereal effect to it. For my friends who run, I'm not a runner, but that sense of finishing something and knowing you've done well. So the backstory of that's fascinating, that a half second or quarter second before and a quarter second after weren't usable, but that 1 frame was.
our classes asked me to do my presentation. I said, my presentation has nothing to do with Christianity except my experience I give to God.
Sure.
The opportunity. My accomplishment is because I had the great opportunity.
Sure.
Incredible opportunity. And when people see the opportunity, when they see my video and see the opportunity I had, it's just unbelievable.
Many of us have opportunities for things. It's about sometimes our choices we make in those occasions, the partners and spouses we have in life who support us through those occasions, absolutely. But also, there's something about communicating something that is powerful through still and motion images. In my work in the church world, I talk about something I call church cinematography, but it can also apply to moving or still pictures. We in the church have an amazing story of the gospel of Jesus Christ, and in worship, we don't always convey that story in a way that makes people excited. Photographies, and specifically work in churches around photography, even like this podcast, it's not going to be a cinematic level quality, but it can convey things that we don't always do as well. I imagine you and I have seen some feature films or even commercials that are so well done and compelling, it makes you want to go out and go do that thing, or go and change the world, or go and take more pictures with this camera I saw advertised. That happens to me on social media too. But the church often doesn't do as good of a job communicating this good news we have. Part of my interest and passion for this is learning from people like yourself and others who have had a storied and wonderful career in some sort of medium that is storytelling. Photography, again, that image at the end of a race, being exhausted and you've run yourself out and you feel good about yourself because you've done that against the odds, against all these other runners. And there's this exultant moment of a runner standing there, finishing their race. That can feel pretty spiritual to me.
I'm going to use that line sometime.
Yeah. Well, but I think it is part of that, that photography and video can tell stories in ways that our words don't always. So I think photography and your work has the potential to, it's told many a story. The devotion aspect of our lives as faithful people, you mentioned that you and your spouse V, now what will your anniversary be in October?
72.
72, my Lord, that's amazing. But when you talk about this idea of devotion to something or someone, devotion is sort of this ability people have to stick with something over the long haul. For me, looking at your life and photography, you're still out there snapping pictures and doing that and sending those to us. Because again, I, as a pastor, don't have pictures of myself as the one who takes the pictures. That shows me some of that devotion you have to things. You and V thoughtfully considering where you spend your time to celebrate well with the Oak Grove community when you're in worship here and be active in our community, and also to attend to the Nazarene community that you've been a part of for so many years. That is a very devoted way to live your life. And so I'd love to hear some thoughts you have about being devoted, not just to the camera world and craft.
Well, I think it's self-explanatory. We've been doing it for 80 years, and we're there every Sunday.
Yeah. And then for photography, you also sort of began that artistry side of your life early because you were an artist, someone interested in visual media. But also as your life has gone on, you've adapted to new forms, not just the 35 millimeter rangefinder cameras you used or the graphics 4x5s, but
I've had some of everything.
I was about to say, you've kind of had every camera there might have been.
Yeah.
But even now, when I see you with your digital camera, ready to pull out and zoom in and get those shots. It's a certain level of devotion to that creative work here at Oak Grove and other traditions to be active in your faith still. And I think that's just a remarkable thing.
Oh, we try.
Well, and you keep trying. Now, as far as like words of wisdom, what words of wisdom might you offer to some of the folks listening?
I think our secret has been both of us are extremely considerate of our family and of other human beings. And people seem to like us for that quality. And our family seems to like us.
That's good.
We're a close family. When we're all together, my immediate family's 31 people.
Wow.
And we have 14 great-grandchildren, 9 grandchildren. So it's a big group of people.
Yeah.
And I think everybody in our family, with a few exceptions, go to church every Sunday. We gave them that.
Sure.
You know. So we're glad that we're trying to get the others in church.
Sure.
Too, but
well, and I think it is part of like living a faithful life in a way that your children and grandchildren and great grandchildren can see that being not just something you reflexively do, but something you were intentional about doing. I think that matters an awful lot. What else do you want to say about photography or other kinds of wisdom or devotion?
But the photography has been very important to us. We've been to Europe 19 times.
Wow.
We've seen more of Europe than we have America, but we've seen a lot of America too. We both do photography, and we both love it. We were just looking at old books yesterday that we did in Europe,
Oh, wow.
years ago. Our first trip to Europe was in 1968.
Wow.
She worked for Pan American Airways, and they gave her a 90% discount
on tickets
to go to Europe if she wanted to.
Sure.
And we were able to borrow the 10%.
That was smart.
We were so poor.
That's about to say, working photographers.
We were so poor. And we went to Europe, and we had a phenomenal time. We drove 5,000 miles in 2 weeks in Europe.
Wow, that's quite a feat.
In 68, nobody spoke English. we were going to restaurants with no English menus, but did well.
Sure.
Did quite well.
And you made it back. Well, I think that's wonderful. And hearing about your devotion to V and V's devotion to you, and this sort of intentionality with sticking with things and your love for photography and storytelling, that's just wonderful to hear about. Yeah.
I do want to introduce my book, Cape Canaveral Photography by Chuck Rogers. It's available on Amazon, $12.
Okay.
Anybody can afford it.
Sure. Yeah, and we'll put a link down in the video to that. Again, I know you're a working photographer, but also an amazing historical things. Again, I know you're in your conversations on the video that we've referenced. About 9 years ago, y'all did this video. You were talking about how the space race to get a satellite into orbit, and how when Sputnik came over and blipped a couple of times, then von Braun finally got his funding. But I think sort of that historical moments you've seen come and go, and even now, how you're still capturing images for family and church and all that. It's remarkable.
Don't overlook Kennedy. Yeah, I spent about 2 hours with Kennedy.
Wow.
President Kennedy.
Okay.
7 days before he died.
Wow, I didn't know it was that close. Yeah.
My experience with President Ford was interesting too. I was in the dressing room when he came to play golf at the Jackie Gleason Inverary Open. I was the official photographer because I was working for the company that owned Inverary, and they sent me down there from Atlanta to do that in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
And I and Kennerly, his personal photographer, were the only ones allowed in his entourage.
Wow. All
the press had to stay about 300 or 400 feet away with their long lenses.
Sure.
So I got this incredible photo of Nicholas and President Ford. And Nicholas heard about it and asked if he could see the picture. And I said, yeah, come by my lab. I told him I had a lab set up at the golf course. I took my assistant down to do my lab work. And we were, again, making prints and giving them to the press.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And he came by, and I had made extra prints of that particular one because it was kind of nice. And he asked me if he could buy one. I said, if you'll sign mine, you can have one.
Oh, wow.
And so he did, and which I still have.
Mm.
And so that was sort of the end of that story. Very nice. Another opportunity.
Again, you've taken pictures of folks who were generals, celebrities, President Carter, all the Nike work, as well as all the motorsports you've gotten to do.
Yeah, I photographed 6 American presidents.
Wow. 6. I don't know if there are many photographers alive who've done more than that. Okay, so Carter, JFK.
Don't ask me.
Don't ask their name. Sure.
The first remarkable. Was the general.
Yeah. I remember you talking about how you took pictures with different rank so that he could use those images later as he made his way up. That's a good business model.
When the Korean War broke out, I joined the National Guard.
Okay.
I think a senior in high school. Started going to National Guard meetings and National Guard summer camp and that sort of thing. Was introduced to a reporter in the National Guard from the Miami Herald. And that reporter and I started doing photography. He started doing writing for National Guard events without any official backing. And the general found out about it. And he knew the reporter, and so he found out my name and found out that I was working in a photography studio in West Palm Beach, and called me and asked if he could come down and get a portrait made.
Wow.
He lived in Jacksonville.
Okay.
So he came down. I did a really nice series of portraits, as I mentioned to you, and he says to me, have you considered being an officer in the Army? I said, no. I think I was a corporal at the time.
Okay.
And he said, well, I could probably get you into Fort Benning Officer Candidate School.
Wow.
I said, I'm all for that.
Okay.
And so I became a second lieutenant.
Oh, okay.
The general's aide-de-camp.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
And he told me, you never have to work as my aide. You can use that epaulet to do photography.
Okay.
You've got a Jeep.
Yeah.
Your own Jeep.
Go where you want.
You've got access to the airplane and the helicopter if you need it. And you work with the guy from Miami and do whatever you want to do.
Wow.
So it was a good deal.
Yeah, that's a pretty amazing opportunity. Yeah.
Thanks to God.
Well, sure. And I mean, I think just that's remarkable that there was a more senior officer who saw something in you and wanted to help you. I think that's pretty remarkable. Yeah.
But that's the story of my life. Those kind of remarkable opportunities. And fortunately, I was able to recognize some of them and utilize them.
Sure.
And sometimes that makes a difference. Some people get opportunities and don't realize it and don't utilize them.
I think that's really a true statement. Many of us have opportunities and either don't see them or don't see them as opportunities. Well, that sounds like some good words of wisdom. Look for the opportunities. It's been really wonderful to have you on the podcast and to talk more with you here and learn more about, hear some of the backstory behind some of the images you've captured and how you and V have been faithful and wonderful, thoughtful people here at the church. We're so glad to have you on the podcast.
Thank you very much. It's been very interesting and enjoyable.
Well, good. Well, thank you all for watching the podcast, and we'll hope to catch you on the next episode. Be well, and we'll see you soon.